On today's show, I'm joined by Leni Rico Maria Magdalena, a former professional basketball player in Spain, turned actress and producer in Hollywood, who's here to share her remarkable journey. We'll explore the challenges she faced, the opportunities she seized, and the profound impact this move had on her career. Leni's story serves as a reminder that with courage and inspiration, one can overcome boundaries in the relentless pursuit of their dreams. Hey, good morning, Leni. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning to talk with me on the podcast. I'm excited to get into your story. We were introduced by a mutual friend of ours, Enrico, and I'm glad he connected us because just reading your story, your biography, your background, you have a lot of cool stuff to share. I cannot wait to get into it. But again, thank you for your time today.
Hi, Joe. Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure. I'm glad that you connected us.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I think typically when I talk to people, I start with the beginning, right? Because to kind of build into your whole career and career trajectory, you grew up in like a small town in Spain. You had a very, very supportive family who were always around you. Your parents are both business oriented, your siblings, but you started playing basketball and had a
Yeah.
very successful career at a young age. So, like starting it back then, were there any moments from your days playing that sort of you were captain of the team, all that kind of good stuff? Did that make you shape or have you shape anything memorable in your mind that you still carry with you to this day?
Well, there's so many things because it was for 11 years playing. So from the beginning to the end, it was an adventure and just loved being involved playing basketball. It was my passion, and I couldn't even think about any other things. Like, even my family was supporting, but I was more like, I'm traveling. I wasn't even asking, and it was more like, that's what I love, that's what I'm doing.
No, but back then in that small town, right? Like you kind of had and interesting because I can't imagine there was a lot of, professional athletes, right, at your age that were sort of like your peers growing up around. So it must have been like, were you sort of like a local celebrity, so to speak, amongst the kids in the neighborhood and the families?
I didn't realize at the time until I remember I was in a wedding in kind of local in my area, and I was in the wedding with my friends and everything. And suddenly, a waiter comes. He goes, "Oh my God, are you Maleni?" Because they call me Maleni. I say, "Yeah." I say, "Oh, I go to see all your games. We are really a big fan of you. All my friends come to see you, and you want champagne? You want anything?" And I was like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "Okay, I don't drink, but." My friends do. So he started bringing champagne on the table. It's like, wow, people knows me, and I wasn't even paying attention to that. But yeah, it became like I remember like when we were going out as a team, everybody knows oh no on the city, and it was like, oh, the basketball girls are here. So it was kind of like we were working, playing, but we weren't conscious of how big we were going, and people knew our names in the newspaper, on TV. It was a big deal. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean here, like in America, we know like the Gasol brothers or certain Spanish athletes that come here and sort of conquer the NBA, right? Obviously, Mark and Pal have crazy careers that they did. Obviously, winning titles, you name it, right? But in Spain, basketball is a huge sport that I think here in America we don't realize, that the impact that sport has, globally. We think of it to not like soccer or football like you would call around the world, but basketball does have a huge following in many parts, Italy, Spain, right? You name it. And that's really cool that you were able to be sort of like a part of that world.
Yes, especially we made story in our town because even the guys team were even winning less than us, so we became like very popular, yeah, like I said, they were like following us everywhere in TV, on newspapers. It was like a big thing, and even now, compared to the time we made story, we are like still very famous in our town for that time, period of time.
That's amazing, right? So you're left your parents' house around the age of 18, and like in part maybe that decision led you to finish college after you had this bike accident.
Yeah.
So like could you like kind of share more about like the accident, maybe how it like affected your priorities and the subjects you studied just to finish school, how that sort of motivated you to kind of take charge of like at least the educational component of your life?
Well, the thing is, when I was playing and I was many hours training, sometimes I was getting home really tired, right? And I remember having my book on the table and I was sleeping. And my mom was like, "You better go to sleep or you better study. Do one or the other, but you can be like that," you know? And I remember like I was like, it was double effort for me to study and have the time because I was exhausted. I was playing basketball for many hours and every day, right? So there was a moment that before college, the end, I was going to class and I was walking on the street, and a friend, she had a motor bike, and she stopped and she said, you want to ride?" And it's like, okay. So she had a bag on her back, and as soon as I got in, she accelerated and I fell like really bad, and it, over my knees. So I was like, "Oh my god!" And she was, "Are you okay?" People were like looking at everything's okay, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm okay." And I told her, "Please don't tell anybody. This is so
Right.
ridiculous." So we go to class, and in less than an hour, I was in pain. I was like, "Oh my god, this is bad. I can't even walk." So I went to the doctor, and I end up like having my knee all the way like with the bandage for 15 days, and I was about to start a tournament, and I was, "Oh my god, now it can't happen. This I have to play. I can't do this. I can't have this situation." And but I realized that it happened for the reason of like, okay, now it's time to study, and it's happening for my for my well-being, because I really need to finish this college. And everybody was, "Oh, we want to miss you." And they went to Galicia, which is the north of Spain. They have the tournament, and they had an amazing time. They were eating so much food there after when they finished, they won and everything. But for me, it was very important to focusing, and I finally finished my college, and that made me think I have to focus, and it was okay. You know what I mean? I took it well at the end, but in that period of time, it was like, oh no, nobody wants to be at home and not playing when your
Yeah.
team is playing.
Yeah, yeah, you're home recuperating. You're like, oh, did I make the right decision? So like quitting is like, especially like being a professional, like that's a significant sort of emotionally charged decision to make at such a young age. And it sounds like for you, it was like that car accident may have been okay. This is sort of the indication that I'm ready to walk away. I'm ready to try something new, which is a very mature thing for a younger person, right? You
Mm,
think younger
yeah,
people now, like you don't think of an 18-year-old nowadays being able to be that mature to say, okay, this was the time in the past. Now we're going to take another step in a new direction. I don't know what it is yet, but I know that I'm putting that behind me and I'm ready to roll. That's very rare to see.
yeah. Actually, I didn't quit at that moment. I kept going, and but I decided, okay, I want to move to Granada because I want to study tourism. And on that time, I was looking for what was the best. And then I remember when I told my coach I gotta go to Granada because I want to study. He was in shock. He was, "No, you're not." He was, "No, you're not going." It's like, come on, I have to go. I have to study. And it was like, I have to think about my future. And like you say, it's kind of mature at that time. But yeah, I was thinking, I know basketball is not gonna be forever, so I need to do something that is gonna be for the future. It's funny because I'm not even working on the tourism thing right now, but it helped me a lot, right? Anyway, so I moved to Granada, and then still I was playing basketball back and forth, going to Linares. From Linares, we had to travel to another cities because every weekend was in different locations. Sometimes Linares, sometimes different places in Spain. So it was really exhausting in the sense that my weekends were all traveling in many hours. And another thing is during the week I had to work out for by myself because my team was in another city. So anyway, I stayed like 2 years and I quit. At the end of my career, I decided this is it can be good for me because I'm really tired. I have to finish my career. And by the other side, my dad was saying, "You better study. This is it was a private school, and if it's not, I don't want to be supporting you. You do what you you know." So I was like, okay, I better finish this, and that's what I did. I finished my career, and after it took me to another city because I got a job in Marbella. So it was even farther from my city. So the decision were like the right one because I got a job there. I couldn't go back to Linares to play, and yeah, it was a transition. It was really hard because I even tried to join another team in Granada, but I realized that it wasn't just basketball; it was my team that I was missing, my friends.
Hmm. Yeah, and so you did have like coaches and people trying to persuade you to not give up your athletic career, and you still felt okay. You know what? It's just too much going on. I'm back and forth. I'm moving further and further away within the same country, but it's not for me anymore in the way in this capacity, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, it was many years. Even when I tried in another team, and they told me you have to be on Saturday at 8 a.m. I was like, you know what? I don't feel it. First of all, I don't feel the connection with the girls now. I don't even know them. I have to study, and I was like, no, I'm I don't want to be waking up 7 a.m. just to play basketball again. I did this so many years. I was down. We
Sure.
reached the highest division, so it was like a WNBA, and why want to be play with another regular team when I was in that level? It's like no. If I want to do it, I want to do it with my team.
Right. Oh, I'm just saying you guys have already reached the pinnacle of, where you could go. That's sort of the team you'd rather go back to and continue to thrive with.
Right? Yeah.
Right. So like with your parents, so you mentioned that, your dad was like, "Hey, kind of giving you some, pushback." Like but your family did play a significant role in your life, and I'm assuming your career choices, like, because they're both entrepreneurial. Like, what are like some values and lessons you picked up from your parents, and how that influenced you to be entrepreneurial, including I believe you had a business you co-owned with your sister.
Well, when I was born, my parents had a shop, and my mom still sometimes talk about it. Like you grow up looking at how we treat people, and everybody were shopping, and you were behind, like like you were one of us. And it's funny because business were is in me since then because I was looking everything. I was a baby. I was there looking everything, and my dad always told me it's better to be. I want to try to translate. Okay, he would say it's better to be head of a mouse than the end of a snake. Meaning, like it's better you do your own business and being the head that been working for many other people and you are the last because it's a big chain or something, right?
Yeah,
And
be your own boss.
yeah, so yeah, always they were influencing me in the sense that I like to be productive for myself, and even I've been working for many people. I always have my goal in doing my own things too. So yeah, my parents support me. My dad wasn't supporting me at that time when I was playing basketball, but later on, it's funny because once he came home, really happy because people were talking to him. Hey, your daughter is on the newspaper, and we know her, and she's amazing. She plays so well. He was so happy. He said, "Oh wow, I didn't know that that she was so popular." Right? Later, he even got me an interview in the newspaper. He was like really proud, right? And I remember like he was like, "Where are you going now?" "Oh, I have to go to this city." It's like you're not even asking. It's like no, I just had to go. I had to go with my team. We had to play. So he was more like into business. He didn't understand that much my career as a basketball player. But later on, he realized how big it was, and he supported me later on, right? But even my brothers, and they were all busy working in their businesses. I remember my sister coming, like they were with my big name, like supporting. It was really back and forth having the support. But because it was so many years. But yeah, for me it was more about creating my like buying my own properties, being my own successful person on businesses. That's how I grew up. And later on I did.
Exactly, right? Like your next, your decision, right? You move to the United States, and which is like, a huge thing when you're coming from an area that you sort of were doing well, right? You could have stayed in sports. You had, finished school. You had a good, area that you were well, comfortable and just thriving, right? But you decided to come to the US. Like, what was the idea where you fell in love with, okay, I'm going to go live in the United States? But then when you got to the US, were there any challenges that you faced maybe when you first arrived, or to this day?
Many, many. It's a different culture. It's a different everything. There is many challenges, yeah, in the sense that from the language to the cultural thing, how people are, having the documents to work, everything. But what made me change our thinking about moving here, it was a trip to Miami that I went for a vacation after I was working for many years, and I didn't have a vacation for long. I decided to take go somewhere, and I went to Miami. It's funny because I was going for a month, and it sounds a lot, yeah. But after being so many years like non-stop, I was like, okay, now it's time to take a big break. And at that time, I was doing already many taking classes of acting and everything, and I was even doing some short films where I was the lead and everything. So I was already into acting so much that even on my vacation, I was checking what was going on in Miami. So I got a manager who took me to an audition for a soap opera, and I got the part. So it's like, oh my God, I'm on vacation now. I got a part in a soap opera. What am I gonna do? And so I overstayed for 2 months and a half. And well, it wasn't a big part, but it was something that I was doing daily. And they were like even giving me the chance to overstay if I wanted to be working in other soap operas, in other options, I got another TV shows that I was doing some stuff. And I realized that how much I love to be in United States. So I went back to Spain, and I decided to move here. But I thought I didn't like Miami to leave, and I thought, okay, I want to go to Los Angeles. And it was challenging in the sense that first year I didn't have a car. I was just using buses and the train, and I was working so many hours, like looking for. I didn't know anybody. I just rented a room in North Hollywood to someone that is still one of my best friends. I was lucky. Yeah, I had to learn everything by myself because I didn't have anyone to tell me, okay, you have to do this, blah blah blah. I even got a wrong lawyer that took my money
Mm.
for a year. It was challenging. Yeah, and
Yeah, and
it still
you
is.
oh, I was gonna say, yeah, of course. It's always, it's hard to continue to, stay on top of everything, right? When you're here, your language, like you said, learning just everything, just bureaucracy in any country you go to, just trying to navigate all of that. And I remember on your website you said that you chose to settle here in Los Angeles because it's like the best place for actors. And you know, could you sort of talk about what you think sets LA apart from, whether you stayed in Spain, whether you seem to be picking up gigs in Miami? What is it about LA that you feel is the best spot to be?
I think there is so many people in this business that, I mean, you even go to have a coffee and maybe an amazing actor is serving your coffee at a restaurant. Is in everywhere. You know, we are so many. There are writers, producers, actors. There is crew people, and the funny thing is that you might interact with them, and as like we are doing the same. So it's not a competition because at the end of the day, we need each other, and there's so many many projects that you can always can be involved in certain level maybe one day, and you can create a lot here. Compared
Yeah.
to where I'm coming from, I'm not saying maybe Madrid or something like that, but from where I'm coming from, nobody's in this business like that much. You know, you might find a few people, but compared here, it's like everywhere. So I feel like it's the best place for that because there is more support in that sense, you know, and there is
Yeah.
many
Yeah.
things going on.
Yeah, you're supported. You know, there's like you said, you could just drive down the street and you see, oh, here's a place you can take acting classes. Here's a place where you can buy props. Here, all these little, and they've been there forever. So the city has just been ingrained in this industry for, gosh, decades and decades, right? That you kind of have that community, like you said, you go out to coffee shops, probably a good chance a lot of people in the room are in the industry in some capacity, but you never know where you're going to go and network and meet with someone that can, mutually benefit each other. And, you just have that sort of camaraderie and community here that is hard to build elsewhere. But
Hmm.
when you were little, it said that you would like used to be in like creating and performing in plays as a little child. Did like
Yeah.
any of those like early performances potentially foreshadow this future in acting, or is it something that you kind of didn't really think about until later? Or maybe it's not related at all. You just had fun with your friends, but was that related to why you are so driven today?
Well, I wasn't aware that I really loved what I was doing as a child. I was just having fun. For me, it was natural. Like I was
Mhm.
with my friends at the street, and we were always were like, okay, let's do this music video, let's do this play. We even have a radio station, and
Oh, it's cute. Yeah.
we always had some games like for the neighbors, right? And
Mhm.
we were even invited. Then let's say, okay, tonight, imagine summer, you guys bring your chair at 9 p.m. This is a regular thing in Spain, right? That
Mhm.
late. Sit down there. We're gonna do a show for you, and you have to pay us. So we are like
It's cute.
even getting our tickets
Uh-huh.
to see us, and they were coming and sit down there. They were enjoying us. Like we were always performing, and later on, it's funny. There was a contest in my. It was like a fair in my little area, and there was a contest as a playback where you perform like like playback with the song, right? My brothers have a business. That's my dad, my parents made a business for my brothers, and it's like a coffee pub, and they were the one who were the sponsors for that contest. Let's say this is my family business, and right in front, not too far away, we had the contest, and I say, okay, I want to go to the contest, and my sister was like, okay, I want to get you ready and everything. So I remember like I had my hair like this big. She did a spray to look like low, like blonde, too blonde, and it turned in green. But anyway, I was dressed with her clothes and in high heels. I was like I don't know, maybe 10, 12 years old, and I did the show and I won, and I won the the prize of my brothers because they were the sponsors, and but they didn't know they were in the jury. And when I finished, I go to my brothers and say, "Hey, I won the money. I won the." And they were, "What? You won?" So it became like a big thing because they say, "Oh my God, you perform so well." They told me the guys of the organization, "You had to come every year to teach people how to do it." And I was like, "No, why? What am I going to teach? This is whatever. You know, everybody's different." But kind of like everybody was kind of like saying that I was really good, and it's funny because it was just for fun. But later on, when I start to later on, I was looking for what was my passion, and there was a transition in my life where I was working at a company in Marbella where it was about investments, and I was working as an accountant. And the company broke, and I had to find something else. And after 3 years and a half that I was working there, I thought I was going to be retiring there. I was making so good money, and I even bought my two apartments. I was like very successful at the age of 23. From there, I went to a course as an entertainer. I did a course and I really loved it. And they say, why don't you stay with us to work during the summer as an entertainer? And I had another offers to work in different places, hotels, as an accountant. But I say, you know what? I need to have fun. I want to have fun. Why not? I said, I want to join and do all this summer, work as an entertainment and entertainment, and I will do it. And I did. And I was performing every day, every night, having shows for the audience there. People were coming from everywhere just to see us because we were like a team of three. We were doing like Moulin Rouge parody. We were doing Disney shows. We were doing so many fun stuff. We were dressing up, dancing, performing, and I had a great time. And at the end of the summer, I thought, oh, I have to go back to something serious. I had to work on something different, right? Like not thinking that that could be a way of living too. And so I ended up working the same hotel as a front desk. Anyway, I had an awful time. I didn't like it, but later on, I worked on different things. I even had a store for clothing with my sister for women, and we were for a year and a half. From there, I started to sell luxury cars. I was working at Mercedes Benz. After, I went to sell luxury cars like Ferrari, Lamborghinis, Porsche, everything, right? Anyway, on that time, I was looking for what was my passion, and my sister took me to a school. It was for acting, and in that time, I realized that wow, I was doing this already. I was performing on my in the hotel. I was doing as a kid in my street and school and everywhere. In that moment, I said, okay, I want to do this. I just want to be acting, and I enrolled on the school, and that's changed my life. That's how I started everything.
Yeah, that's crazy. So that this is basically you said you're in your early 20s at this point.
23, yeah, 20 something, 23.
Wow.
I was like starting my career since then, like with courses and everything. Yeah, it's been a journey. It's good.
Yeah, no, and I was going to ask you, like, in this journey, is there like obviously we're going to get into more of things you've done from an acting standpoint, from a producing standpoint, but in terms of like projects overall that you know would be the ones you're the most proud of, is there a way, could you explain what makes them sort of stand out for you in the career you've had thus far?
And there's a few things that I really love and I'm proud, but maybe it was challenging one that it was shot here where we were shooting the movie exactly the same movie in Spanish and in English at the same time. So it was fun because imagine that we're shooting a scene and then we cut everything in Spanish and suddenly okay, it's exactly the same in English. And they gave us the just the script in Spanish and we had to translate it in English. And it was kind of challenging and funny because sometimes your mind take you to like mixing the words, right? Like maybe you're Spanglish right in the moment.
Sure.
And sometimes we were like, how do you say this? Like we were helping each other because everybody was bilingual, no? And this movie is called Heavy Duty Lovers. In Spanish, it's called Amores de Peso. It was fun. It was just, I mean, we did that movie, and after a while, we shot another movie. Sorry, it was for actually Psychic Visions was first, and after was Heavy Duty Lovers, and the two movies were shot with the same director, producer, and kind of the same crew, and we shot the two movies let's say it was 4 movies in two, because
Wow.
two we had the versions in Spanish and English. Yeah,
Wow.
and yeah, I have other movies, like, for example, I'm proud of being working, for example, the Poison Rose, because I was working with big actors like Morgan Freeman, John Travolta, Peter Stormare, Robert Patrick, Graham, a few. Like, we were shooting this big scene for 2 days, and I played a poker dealer. And even when my part is really small, I had an amazing time. I was sitting with them, these big actors, around me every day for 2 days, right? And it was like, it was amazing.
Yeah, because you're around like the A level Hollywood, right? The LA or American actors that, we all grew up watching, and you're like, oh my gosh, you're sitting in like a scene with these people. It's got to
Yeah.
be pretty surreal.
Yeah, and I was, imagine, I was here on my left, John Travolta, Morgan Freeman. Yeah. It's like, what am I? This is amazing, and talking to them like another friend. It was awesome.
Yeah, you're like, okay, all this path, it seems to be coming together. It was worth it, right? Like you're shooting a movie in two different languages sounds equally as cool. Just it's like your basketball days. You're up at in the morning, going like these crazy long hours, and now like in film, that's got to be pretty, mentally challenging to, like you said, go back and forth between two different languages in the same hour, right? Just shooting back and forth and trying to recreate the performances.
Yeah, especially it was fun because the second one was a comedy, so it was also part of the challenge. Was nice because we were laughing, and I remember, like, going back home at night after shooting all day. I was shaking, is laughing on my bed. It's like, wow,
Oh,
it's so fun. It's so much fun. I was loving it so much, you know
oh, I bet. Yeah. And like when you get to work around people you enjoy, and you can kind of take, like, a lot of people will say, "Oh, as soon as I leave work, I'm done. I don't even want to think about work." And you're going home still trying to fall asleep thinking about work because it was such an enjoyable experience. So it's just a lot of fun that you're able to sort of be immersed in these situations with people, because it's creative. You're all creative people, and being able to share goals and put something together that everyone's a part of, and believes in. That's sort of like where the magic is. I would imagine, being an actor.
hmm yeah, it's fun. It's what you love, it's your passion. So I think it's nothing more important, more magical, that moment, that when you
Yeah.
are working on that.
Yeah, and taking it a step further, you've also gotten into producing, and you've had the opportunity to sort of screen your work at film festivals, and you've even won awards for some of these productions. Like, can you sort of talk about like the festival or film festivals and how they sort of impacted your career, both as an actress and a producer, and the networking opportunities maybe they presented for you?
hmm Producing is something that it came naturally once I was in Spain. The first time I was there for 3 months, I was waiting for my visa, and I was like, since I was there, I was like, I want to do something. And one friend told me, why don't we write something? And he actually wrote it, and I said, okay, but you were ready, you had a script already. So when I wrote it, I said, okay, I think it needs some help, let's rewrite something. So I remember, like, that was my first time writing something. And we decided to produce it and shoot it even in my house in Mijas Costa in Malaga. And I say, okay, let's bring everybody here, let's shoot. And I have locations, I have, because I was living in Marbella for 13 years, I was thinking, like, I want to use these connections I have. I even used a Ferrari from where I used to work with, right? I used stores, I used places really cool that I had as friends. So all the doors were open to shoot, and we did it. And after we edited and everything, we started to say, okay, let's submit it to film festivals. And I remember once I was here in LA, when I got an email saying, "Oh my God, you got selected for this film festival," and I was nominated to the best actress it's a honor mention because my part was small, right? It was just a little part. When suddenly I see the email, it said I won the first. I won the best acting supporting actress honorary mention, and I won the best short film. It's like I was wow, amazing, right? That was the first one, and I later submitting other film festival. We got other ones. It's like that was my first project, and later on, I got involved in another one with it's kind of the same person from this short film, and then I co-produced, and I came back from LA to Spain to play a part, and then I got again the same award to the best supporting actress honorary mention in the same film festival when my part was small as well. It's like, oh my God, these people love me. It's so amazing. And then we got a lot of awards in different film festivals as a short film because it's really cool too. Later on, I produced some other story here with a friend, and well, we got into the Chinese theater, the screening, and everything. We did an amazing job too. Like in that one, we got a investor. He brought we produced for 25,000. It was a big deal, for a short film. I write too. I wrote a couple of projects and I'm still working on that, and I'm producing them too. So
You're like you're coming from, sports, business, acting, producing, right? Entrepreneurial with creative, right? Do you see like any common threads that sort of tie these two aspects of your life together?
it's a mindset, right? Because when you
Mhm.
are playing basketball, you need to be very strong, very persistent. You have to be very like constancy of doing something turns you into a professional, right? And I feel it's the same when you're whatever you do in your life. But I feel like those things that I learned from basketball, I brought it to my acting career in my businesses. So when you start something, you really need to finish it. It's a challenge always, right? Because it can take forever sometimes, but you need to set a date and you have to do the whole process very persistent. So I feel like basketball was really good for me. It was a really good school, and be a team player as well, because we need each other, right? It's like you don't play basketball by yourself. You play with a team. So with the industry, it's the same. You need each other to create something, and I think it's important to have connections, to have the people that are the right people to work with, and yeah, I think it's like when you're cooking, you need all the material things. It's the same. Just put it together, and the taste is amazing. It's the same.
Right? You need all the ingredients
Yeah.
to make a good meal, right? So
Hmm.
like, well, and speaking of you have your teammates, you have your fellow actors and actresses. You also are you mentioned on your website the importance of being surrounded by positive people and not having the time for negativity, but also an admiration for women that have sort of created their own empires. Are there any specific women or whether they're artists, business people that maybe inspired your journey and how you maybe take your own career path and inspire others through your work?
Hmm. Well, I admired many actresses. Like, what my favorite is Meryl Streep. I think she's a beast in what she does. Everything she does is just amazing, right? And excellent. She is excellent in everything. So for me, it's her uh, as an actress. I no follow her some that much her life, but for me, it's more about creating yourself too. Like for example, Jennifer Lopez. Lopez. I mean, you might like her more or less, but I have to say that she's a business person too. She
Yes.
create her own brand. She's dancer, actress. She does her own like perfume line. She does everything. She's a money machine in the sense that she creates many things and she believes on herself. Like, I mean, I love Angelina Jolie too because she create and produce and direct her own movies, even when she has multiple movies as a lead actress. She doesn't need it, but she does. And I, these type of women for me are like really like a person to that I look at, as an actress in business too, as a producer, writer. You need to do your own thing because you can be waiting for everybody as well. You have to believe in yourself. You create for yourself, and you create for other people around you too, your friends, whoever you trust to. So yeah, these women are like, yeah, very business wise and very talented, and I think it's a way to use your talent too.
Yeah, I mean, they're certainly very business oriented. They take initiative, and they're also creating jobs. For with these companies they're starting, so they're also employers to people, which is great because maybe someone says, "Well, how am I going to work with these famous people?" Well, they need marketing, they need publicity, they need all these sort of facets that go into just building up these brands that they build, right? And it's obviously very admirable to see them kind of themselves in other ways, not just what got them famous. They're also venturing out into different, other mediums. So like for you, as like your career continues to evolve, are there like specific goals or milestones that maybe you want to achieve in the coming years? Acting, producing, or even like what kind of legacy you hope to leave by coming here from Spain, coming to LA, and leaving that sort of mark on the entertainment industry?
Mm. Well, yes, I wrote two projects right now. They film future films. So my next level is going to the future films instead of doing short films, right? So I like to write something where people want to see themselves, and I want to leave a good message for sure. I think it's my purpose of life, like um, maybe helping others to see themselves, maybe be more light about life, like don't take everything too serious and enjoying life from having us maybe a sunset, things like that. So I like to have projects that are based on true events as well, where you can see, even if you don't see yourself, you see many situations of life, real life, right? But yeah, I want to leave the legacy of my messages on my stories too in every character I play. Sometimes I play the bad girl, and I think someone has to play it, right?
Sure.
Yeah, so and I really want to do these two projects that I wrote. That's my next thing, and that's my next goal. But I want to keep going. This is gonna be forever. This is
Yeah,
who I
yeah.
am.
You put in the time, you put in the work, you have a lot of integrity, you have a lot of courage to come out from Spain and just go for it. And I think that that's the message from talking with you today is you're certainly the kind of person that enjoys life, is very positive, doesn't take that has the time, doesn't have the time for negativity, wants to be around people that help them grow, they help you grow, collaboration. I think that that's sort of the key messages from like just this brief time that we've had together. And for like people who are listening are like, I know personally you have a very large following on Instagram, TikTok. Like, what would be the places for people listening to connect with you or follow you and learn more about you than just this interview?
Well, Instagram as Leni Rico Maria Magdalena. TikTok, I have another platform. It's called Likey, where I have a lot of followers there. Believe it or not, this is a fun app. And and now I'm doing more YouTube videos. So you can find me as Leni Rico Maria Magdalena. Yeah, I want to be talking about more the challenges of being here. If you want to come to live to LA or United States, what are the steps that you have to follow? So I think it's one of my things to help people as well, because when I came here, I didn't know what to do, how to get things down, So I think it's good to have someone who guide you, and I hope people see it, and I'm helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Being a mentor is always, nothing wrong with that. No one's ever going to say that that's a bad thing. Whatever you can teach people and sort of help guide them, answer questions, be a sounding board for people that just don't know what to do, how to get here, how to network, how to whatever it might be. You can sort of provide that. I would love to check out that YouTube page. That sounds really interesting. So we will connect offline for sure. But thank you so much for your time today and for sharing your story. I think it's very inspiring and motivating for people who are listening to be like, hey, some people are just, they're coming from Arizona or Nevada, and you came from across the world. So it's very remarkable to see like what you've done in the time you've been here and what you're going to continue to do. I'm following you. I'm interested, really interested in seeing how much you continue to progress over the years. And, thank you again for taking the time today. So everyone go check out Leni's, social profiles, connect with her, follow her online. And, thank you again for your time today and sharing your story.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I feel blessed to be interviewed and be noticed, because sometimes you feel like, oh, nobody's care about me. But it's funny. It's good when I inspire other people. That's I think it's good just being who you are, and if someone learns something from me, I'm grateful. So I'm thankful to you because you are doing this for me. To talk about my life. Thank you.
Yeah, it's been great, and it's been great. I think people can definitely gain a lot from hearing your story, and I appreciate it, and thank you again for taking your time today, Leni.
Thank you. Thank you so much to you. Yes, I appreciate you.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Experience Curve. Please take the time to share this podcast with a friend or colleague to help get the word out about my show.